My name is Teacher Adrian, and I've been with SOAR Kids since it started. General teaching philosophy is that all students want to be happy and successful. No child wants to fail. No child wants to feel like they can't read or that their ideas aren't important. In teaching classes with SOAR Kids, it gives students a safe place to express themselves, grow, and really just feel welcome among books and among their peers online. The academic writing class is specifically designed to be long-term. We have 2 years of curriculum prepped. Each year is themed, so the books are carefully selected surrounding a theme that connects to students and the world around them. There's videos, articles, and other media resources besides the book itself that will help students understand not only the book, but its implications and connections to the modern world. Students will write a total of 18 essays per year. These all are academic types of writing, including persuasive, maybe compare and contrast, standard book reports, different expository pieces, how-to essays, and all of these have specific expectations and instructions on the type of writing, the type of language, and the type of audience that they're trying to reach. In typical writing classes, it's a lot of here's how you write, and now you go and do it. Whereas in SOAR Kids, it's a little mixture of I am a teacher and the students are also teaching me. In SOAR Kids, the students read the books and the teachers have read the books, and we come together to try and think, what can we write about that makes sense with this book so that it's meaningful to readers today? Students receive personalized feedback. They go through the editing process, and they also receive one-on-one feedback at the end of each session. These students are really given an opportunity to grow on a personal level and develop a relationship with the person who's giving them feedback versus just saying there's only one way to be a strong academic writer. There's not one way. If all students took the same class and only the same class with no personalized feedback, they would all end up with the same piece. That's not unique, that's not special, and that doesn't highlight a student's true abilities and what makes them special. So SOAR Kids brings that out and gives kids and teachers that opportunity to grow. Grades are interesting. If we think back to how grades were initially designed and what they were meant for, a C is considered average. Okay, a 70 to 80%, 70 to 79% is considered within the average range. And then we get into the B range, an 80 to an 89%. And a B is good. It means you pretty much, B is for basic, right? You've got all the grammar, your spelling is good, your punctuation is good, you answered all the questions. It's basically good. But what separates a B essay from an A essay is that an A essay has style and pizzazz, and it's unique. And that's something that cannot always be taught with a handout. Or I really thought you were on the edge of a very important argument, and then you kind of dropped off. And that student might not know the answer to that question, and they might have never pushed themselves that far until someone specifically asks them. And when they push themselves to those limits, that's what makes an A essay. And it shows, but it takes a lot of work from both parties, on both the person giving the feedback and the student who's writing the essay. Kids develop their own unique writing style just by growing their own personality, where they grew up, the type of exposure they've had, the cultural experiences, the type of friendships or frenemies that they've had at school, the sports that they're interested in, their favorite color, the books that they read. Not all students love the same types of books. And that says something already that students are born with a different type of style. They are already interested in different things. Developing their own style, they need input from a lot of sources to figure out who am I, what type of writer do I want to be, and understand that once they think they know what type of writer they want to be, that it can always change. Because good writers and good people generally understand that growth is never done. It's a lifelong process. Student styles can also develop and increase in how interesting and intricate and detailed their writing becomes over time. Reading and writing are very correlated, even from the foundations of when students first learn the alphabet, that letters are associated with specific sounds and putting these things together. And then when they start phonetically spelling for the first time, and when students are in kindergarten and everything is spelled wrong, those two processes work very closely together. The more that students read, the more and the higher quality of their writing. We want to give students exposure to a wide variety of literature, including classic literature, modern, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, prose, historical fiction, realistic fiction. They can decide for themselves what messages speak to me, what empowers me to write. Because students often in schools find writing boring. Why are we doing this? I just want to get my grade. I just want to check off this assignment. But by reading books and feeling empowered by what they've read, they can realize that they have power in their own writing as well. Finding their own unique writing style takes time. Obviously, students and even adults change throughout their lifetimes. A basic standard intervention in a school setting takes ideally 6 to 12 weeks. That's a month and a half to 3 months. That's for something as basic as learning how to read, learning the letter sounds, learning some sight words. In this academic writing course, we are talking about something at a much higher level than that. We are talking about grammar, sentence structure, complex ideas, different types of academic writing, developing your own style and vocabulary and audience. Ideally, you'll start to see changes within 6 months of participation, a significant amount of growth within 2 years. Writing, like most things in life, is a process. We don't expect students to suddenly decide, I'm going to write like this now after just one course. We have to be realistic in our expectations. Take this time to appreciate that students are discovering themselves during this time. That's something to honor and appreciate and encourage, and not to rush these things. Kids grow fast enough. We should let them enjoy the books, enjoy the process. Just constantly continuing to have conversations with students. A lot of times in schools, and especially through distance learning during the pandemic, a lot of learning was the teacher gives and the student receives, missing a lot of social dynamics and real conversations and banter back and forth and humor and personal connection. Students need to develop their own writing style by experiencing. In SOAR Kids, having an online platform to connect with students who don't necessarily come from the same city, who don't live the same life that they do outside of school, outside of this online class, is a lot of new exposure. And I think that's great. And students can see other styles of students, maybe in a different state or even a different country. And hearing the interests of others, I think, is really something special, because often students live in this tiny bubble of, this is what I'm interested in, this is what's popular at my school, in my class, in my family, when the world is really so much bigger. And SOAR Kids offers the opportunity to learn all about that. We focus on a lot of aspects of academic writing. Who is your audience, sentence structure, syntax, vocabulary, all of those types of things. But we also include debate and critical thinking, which I think is something that cannot be replaced by a textbook. This is something that has to happen in real time with real people, with real peers who are having a live discussion. And we sort of even the playing field for critical thinking by bringing in the literature. We all come from different places, different life experiences, but we've all read this same book. Now, what does this book offer each of us, and what challenging questions does it pose about what we are experiencing versus what someone experienced in the book? What is right? What is wrong? There are not always answers. What does this say about who we are as humans? What does this say about the future? And so critical thinking really challenges the group, including the teachers, to have discussions where there isn't always an answer. We're having discussions for the sake of having discussions and solving problems and feeling things together, and realizing that, yeah, these books pose some issues that we don't know a lot about, that maybe we want to know more about, that we can write more about, and hopefully that inspires some of these students to become academic writers in the long run, and use that writing to empower others, whatever messages they find in themselves once they find their style and their calling. SOAR Kids offers and requires actually is one-on-one review sessions at the end of each class. The students meet as a whole in a group with its instructor for the first part of class, and then the second portion of the class, say the latter third really, is spent receiving one-on-one feedback. So whatever a student is missing or needing improvement on is specifically discussed in a private, safe manner, and it's targeted for the student. One student might be struggling with grammar, maybe past tense versus present tense or irregular verbs. Another student might be struggling with transition, right? And we don't want to waste valuable class time when the whole group is there on that. That's what that one-on-one review time afterwards is for. So whatever a student is missing and preventing them from reaching their full potential, we try and meet them where they're at to provide them the instruction and the intervention and the support and encouragement that they need to say, you are really doing a great job. And this is how we can step it up from that B to that A. A child is never alone if they have the company of a good book, and we offer exposure to a lot of great literature in this class. No matter what a child's interests are or passions are, there is a book for them that can inspire them to be interested in becoming a great writer. That writing is not just a task, that it serves a purpose and it can serve their purpose. And so that's what we're trying to instill. So for parents and families, if you have a reluctant writer or someone who's just sort of hovering at that B level and needs that extra push, and just tutoring or workbooks or whatever haven't really helped, maybe what they're missing is the social dynamic, the encouragement, the safe space, and the exposure to other kids who live lives different than their own. Putting that all together can really foster a sense of passion for writing and reading.